It's a real regime almost.
Oh, hell no.
They're talking about me.
All I needed was one ball.
The science of training.
And I know you don't think it's a sport. All right, Rich, let's talk about Olympia. I want to get your thoughts on that. Olympia 2020.
Well, if you guys watched the Olympia on the pay-per-view, I was the commentator with Sean Ray, and I enjoyed it very much so. You know, I got to speak my mind on who I felt was, going to win the show, and I knew right away that Big Ramy was going to win that show. You know, I could see as soon as he stepped on stage, that's the winner. And Sean was like, well, you got to look at Phil Heath. You got to look at Brandon Curry. And I'm like, he's 285 pounds for the first time in shape. As soon as he stepped on stage, what was very impressive about Big Ramy is that he was not only in condition, but he was also in condition on posing. And one of the things that I've been, criticizing most of the pros is they don't focus on posing. They go on to there, and you can see they can't even they breathe heavy because if they're stayed on stage too long, their stomach starts protruding, they start breathing heavy. And old school, when I competed, I spent hours in a posing room posing to get into the proper conditioning to be able to pose for a long time. What Big Ramy did is he worked with Dennis James, and Dennis James just made him pose like crazy to get him in condition on stage. So when you watch Big Ramy pose, what happened was when Big Ramy posed, he was the first to pose and the last to get out of the pose. You saw, Phil Heath huffing and puffing. You saw a guy sweating. So when it came down to it, Phil Heath was the definite winner. Then from there, it's funny because it was a 2-day event. When you look at the 2-day event, when you look at the finals, a lot of people said that Hani Chopin should have been much higher, but on the Friday event he was a little flat. So he didn't look as good. But if you looked at it, William Bonac, another one. William Bonac on the Friday, I mean, he's all together, but he just didn't pop. But then on Saturday, he popped. So it's funny because the 2 days made a big difference for those guys where, a lot of people thought Ramy was going to start fading. He actually got better. They all got better. Even Phil Heath got better. But who I saw a big difference on was Hani Chopin and William Bonac. If it was Saturday, it was only based on Saturday. For me, it should have been Big Ramy, Hani Chopin second, William Bonac third. And it's funny because between Phil Heath and Brandon Curry, they both have glaring weaknesses. Phil Heath, he still has issues with his stomach and holding his stomach in. And he still wasn't the same Phil Heath that won, the 7 Olympias. He wasn't that good. I even think he was not as good as he was when he lost to Sean Roden. The whole thing with Brandon Curry, he's made amazing improvements overall with his upper body. And from the front, his legs look great. From the side, you see it as a glaring weak point compared to, say, a Phil Heath or compared to a Big Ramy, whose side view of their legs, just the hamstring is huge. Their glutes are huge. And that's what I saw between those two guys. They both had weaknesses, so they were flip-flopping for me, and who was better.
So you think Phil didn't improve from 2018, right? I think it was.
I think he was the same. He was the same or maybe a little less, not as good. And, I noticed he was like huffing and puffing and breathing. It seemed like having that break, he wasn't in condition like to be on stage because they really worked him. And I think he's not used to being worked. He's usually like the guy who wins and they put him to the side and that's it. They worked him, and that's what I think hurt him because he just wasn't in that condition to be able to be worked. And I just think he didn't want it as bad. It's funny. I watched Jay Cutler when he lost to Dexter Jackson. The year later, he came back and he came back in better condition, you know, showing off his body like even better. And he literally won. He deserved winning that show after he got beaten by a Dexter Jackson. I just thought Phil just wasn't as good. And I just think Ramy was on his game so much that they just had to give it to Ramy.
Now, in Phil's defense, right? I mean, he went through injuries and surgeries, for hernia. So for him to still be able to come back and be in the top three is amazing.
Oh, he's still he's still the best one of the best bodybuilders in the world. And I'm looking at just there's such small, when you take those top five, they're so close. It's really hard. Like I told you, Brandon Curry and Phil Heath could flip flop. And you had Hani Chopin and William Bonek. All of those four guys, they could have been in any places, and it still would have worked out. That they would have been satisfied with the top five. Ramy showed such improvements in conditioning and presentation, and he's just a glaring bigger guy. You look at him; he's 285 pounds. He's double the width of the other guys. His presentation was great. His conditioning was great, and he won that show. Can he do it again? I hope he can. I see more. I see Brandon Curry continually wanting to come back because he won that show, and I think he's still hungry to want to come back and improve. So I still think.
Do you think in Phil's mind? Do you think in Phil's mind he was coming back to win and reclaim his title, or do you think in his mind, he just wanted to show up and show everybody, again, that he's still capable of competing, obviously. But do you think he knew in his mind that he was going to win?
Knowing Phil, I think he wanted to win that show. I wouldn't think he would go with a show just to go with the show. Like, yeah, I look good. He went in that show to win. And I just think 2 years, that 2-year layoff made him a little rusty. Can he come back and improve? He can, but there's a risk that he can even place lower, as Ronnie did. So I don't know. I don't think Phil Heath's going to come back. That's my thinking. Because what does he have to prove? He's got 7 Olympias. Today, with what you can do through social media, selling ebooks, I know he's doing a lot of different businesses. He could still make a lot of money doing that. When you prepare for a show, that's all you can do, and it's much different. So I don't think he has anything to prove. He's still going down in history as one of the greatest bodybuilders of all time. And I just don't think I don't think he should come back, but who knows with, what he's going to do.
But it's crazy. I think it's the first Olympia in a long time that I witnessed that nobody was unhappy with the result of Big Ramy winning. Usually always like back and forth.
That's what was really exciting is, last year, Hani Chopin got the People's Champion. It was kind of cool that Big Ramy got the People's Champion and he won the show. That's what was really exciting about it. Everybody, the majority of the consensus was Ramy won that show. He deserved it. And he won as the People's Champion and he won through the judges' eyes. So that was even a sweeter victory.
I feel like the judges this year, I don't know, sometimes people always talk about, conspiracy theories and, they talk about the judging not being fair. Do you feel like this year that the judging is kind of in many ways was respected by the people?
I think so. I think the judging was spot on. Like I said, I was there both Friday and Saturday, as a commentator, and I've been an IFBB judge. And the conditioning of the guys Friday and the conditioning Saturday, like I said, if Hani Chopin and William Bonek were in the shape Saturday, it could have been a different story and they could have placed higher. But I think they just couldn't catch up to both, Phil Heath and Brandon Curry. Between those two, like I said, they could have flip-flopped. So having Brandon second or having having Phil second, it could have won either way for my mind. And probably in the judging, I bet you they flip-flopped because that's how close they were. But yeah, I think what you said is that the judges definitely, people agreed on the judging.